In the heart of the vast and untamed land of Seloria, there lay a village named Elderglen, surrounded by ancient forests and towering mountains. The land was rich with history, where myths and legends intertwined with the everyday lives of its inhabitants. Elderglen was a village like any other in Seloria, except for one thing, its haunting connection to the Blood Lady. Long ago, Seloria was a land of peace and prosperity, ruled by wise kings and protected by ancient spirits. The rivers flowed with crystal-clear water, and the forests were teeming with life. However, beneath this idyllic surface, there was a darkness that few dared to speak of. The origins of this darkness were buried deep in the past, in the time when the Blood Lady first appeared. The story of the Blood Lady was passed down through generations, a tale shrouded in mystery and fear. It was said that she was a spirit of vengeance, a woman who appeared only in the presence of blood. Her appearance was a harbinger of death, and those who saw her were said to be cursed forever. The villagers of Elderglen lived in constant fear of her, for they knew that where she appeared, death would soon follow. The legend of the Blood Lady began many centuries ago, in a time when Elderglen was still a young village. It is said that the village was once the site of a great battle, a war between two rival kingdoms that had left the land soaked in blood. Among the fallen was a woman named Ilara, a healer who had tried in vain to save the lives of those who had been wounded in the battle. Ilara was known for her kindness and her unwavering dedication to her people. She had lost her husband and child to the war, and yet she continued to heal the wounded, believing that life was sacred, no matter whose side they fought on. But as the battle raged on, and the bodies piled up, Ilara began to lose hope. The bloodshed seemed endless, and the weight of the dead began to crush her spirit. In her despair, Ilara called out to the gods, begging them to end the suffering. But her pleas were met with silence. In her anger and grief, she made a pact with an ancient spirit, one that dwelled deep within the earth. She asked for the power to end the war, to make those who caused so much pain feel the same suffering that she had endured. The spirit granted her wish, but at a terrible cost. Ilara was transformed into the Blood Lady, a vengeful spirit bound to the blood of the fallen. She became a harbinger of death, cursed to appear wherever blood was spilled. Her presence would bring about the death of those who had wronged her, and her curse would continue for all eternity. Many generations later, the legend of the Blood Lady was still told in Elderglen. The villagers lived in fear of her, believing that any act of violence could summon her wrath. It was in this fearful atmosphere that a young man named Aidan was born. Aidan was the son of a blacksmith, a man who had taught him the value of hard work and the importance of protecting those he loved. Aidan was known for his courage and his strong sense of justice. He was a man who would go out of his way to help others, even if it meant putting himself in danger. Despite the fear that gripped the village, Aidan refused to believe in the old legends. He thought of them as stories meant to scare children, nothing more. However, Aidan's life was about to change in ways he could never have imagined. One fateful night, while returning from a neighboring village, Aidan stumbled upon a gruesome scene. A group of bandits had attacked a traveling merchant and his family. The ground was stained with blood, and the bodies of the merchant's wife and child lay lifeless on the cold earth. Aidan rushed to the scene, but it was too late. The bandits had fled, leaving behind only death and destruction. As Aidan knelt beside the bodies, a chill ran down his spine. He felt a presence behind him, and when he turned around, he saw her, the Blood Lady. The sight of the Blood Lady filled Aidan with a fear he had never known. Her pale face was framed by long, flowing hair, and her eyes glowed with an unnatural light. She was drenched in blood, the crimson liquid flowing down her body like a river. Aidan knew that he was in the presence of something far beyond his understanding. But instead of fleeing, Aidan stood his ground. He had always believed in facing his fears head-on, and this moment was no different. "Who are you?" he demanded, his voice trembling with a mix of fear and anger. The Blood Lady did not respond. Instead, she extended her hand towards Aidan, and in that moment, he felt an overwhelming sense of sorrow and despair. It was as if he could feel the pain of all those who had died at her hands, their suffering echoing in his mind. Aidan realized then that the Blood Lady was not just a spirit of vengeance, she was also a victim, trapped in a cycle of violence and death that she could not escape. And in that moment, he made a decision that would change his life forever. He vowed to find a way to end her curse, to free her from the torment that had consumed her for centuries. Aidan knew that he could not face the Blood Lady alone. He needed knowledge, and he needed allies. His journey took him far from Elderglen, to the ancient city of Ravenhold, where the greatest scholars and mags of Seloria gathered. It was said that the library of Ravenhold held the secrets of the world, and Aidan hoped that within its walls he would find the answers he sought. The journey to Ravenhold was long and perilous. Aidan faced many dangers along the way, wild beasts, treacherous terrain, and even bandits who sought to rob him of his possessions. But with each challenge, Aidan grew stronger. He learned to trust his instincts, to use his surroundings to his advantage, and to rely on his strength and determination to see him through. When Aidan finally reached Ravenhold, he sought out the wisdom of the city's scholars. He met with Master Eldrick, an elderly mage who was said to be one of the few living people who knew the true history of the Blood Lady. Eldrick was a man of great knowledge and experience, and he took an interest in Aidan's quest. Under Eldrick's guidance, Aidan learned about the ancient spirits that dwelled in the land, beings of immense power that could grant both blessings and curses. He studied the old texts, learning about the rituals and incantations that could bind or release these spirits. But most importantly, he learned about the nature of the Blood Lady's curse. Eldrick explained that the Blood Lady was bound to the blood of the innocent, and that her curse could only be broken by an act of pure selflessness. Aidan realized that in order to free her, he would have to sacrifice something of great value, perhaps even his own life. But Aidan was not alone in his quest. Along the way, he had made allies, others who had suffered at the hands of the Blood Lady or who sought to end her curse for their own reasons. There was Lyra, a skilled archer who had lost her brother to the Blood Lady's wrath, Thorn, a warrior who had once served as a soldier in the king's army but had turned to a life of wandering after the horrors of war, and Selene, a healer who possessed a deep understanding of the ancient magic that flowed through Seloria. Together, they formed a bond, each bringing their own strengths and knowledge to the group. They became more than allies, they became a family, united by a common purpose. As Aidan and his companions delved deeper into the mysteries of the Blood Lady, they discovered that her curse was tied to a powerful artifact, the Bloodstone. This ancient relic had been created by the same spirit that had granted Alara her powers, and it was the source of her curse. The Bloodstone held the essence of the curse, and as long as it remained intact, the Blood Lady would continue to haunt the land. But the Bloodstone was not easily destroyed. It was said to be hidden deep within the heart of the Blackwood, a dark and twisted forest where few dared to venture. The forest was said to be cursed, filled with creatures of nightmare and shadows that could steal a man's soul. Despite the dangers, Aidan knew that he had to find the Bloodstone and destroy it. It was the only way to free the Blood Lady and end the cycle of bloodshed that had plagued Seloria for centuries. The journey to the Blackwood was fraught with peril. As Aidan and his companions ventured deeper into the forest, they encountered all manner of horrors. The trees seemed to whisper in the darkness, and the air was thick with the stench of decay. Strange, twisted creatures stalked them from the shadows, their glowing eyes watching their every move. The deeper they went, the more the forest seemed to come alive, as if it were aware of their presence and sought to stop them. The group faced countless dangers: poisonous plants, treacherous quicksand, and packs of ravenous beasts. But with each challenge, they grew stronger, learning to work together and use their combined skills to overcome the obstacles in their path. One night, while camping in a clearing, they were ambushed by a group of dark creatures, twisted, shadowy figures that seemed to be made of smoke and darkness. The battle was fierce, and the group struggled to fend off the creatures. In the chaos, Lyra was gravely injured, and the group was forced to retreat. Aidan was devastated by the loss of his friend. He had always prided himself on his ability to protect those he cared about, and the failure weighed heavily on him. The experience made him question his resolve and his ability to see the quest through to the end. But with the support of his remaining companions, he found the strength to continue. The encounter with the dark creatures was a turning point for Aidan. He realized that the quest was not just about destroying the Bloodstone, it was also about understanding the true nature of the Blood Lady's curse and finding a way to break the cycle of violence. He learned that to truly free the Blood Lady, he would need to confront his own fears and doubts, and to embrace the sacrifices that the quest demanded. As they neared the heart of the Blackwood, Aidan and his companions prepared for the final battle. They had discovered that the Bloodstone was guarded by an ancient creature, a powerful and malevolent spirit that had been bound to protect the artifact for centuries. The creature was said to be nearly invincible, and its lair was a place of darkness and despair. Aidan knew that this would be the most dangerous part of their journey. They spent days preparing, honing their skills and making sure that they were ready for whatever awaited them. They practiced their strategies, gathered their remaining strength, and made peace with the possibility that not all of them might return. When they finally reached the lair of the Bloodstone, they were met with a scene of unimaginable horror. The lair was a vast chamber, its walls covered in ancient runes and symbols that pulsed with dark energy. In the center of the chamber was the Bloodstone, glowing with a sinister light. And guarding it was the ancient creature, a massive, shadowy figure with glowing eyes and a voice that echoed with the cries of the damned. The battle that followed was fierce and intense. Aidan and his companions fought with all their might, their weapons and magic clashing against the creature's dark powers. The air was filled with the sounds of battle, the clash of steel, the roar of magic, and the screams of the wounded. In the midst of the battle, Aidan faced the creature alone. He had been separated from his companions, and the creature was more powerful than he had anticipated. Just as it seemed that all hope was lost, Aidan remembered the lesson he had learned from Eldrick: the true power to break the curse lay in an act of pure selflessness. With a fierce determination, Aidan made a desperate choice. He used the last of his strength to drive a dagger into the Bloodstone, hoping that it would be enough to destroy it. As he did, he felt a wave of energy surge through him, a wave of pain and sorrow that was both his own and that of the Blood Lady. With the Bloodstone shattered, the dark energy that had bound the Blood Lady was released. The ancient creature guarding the artifact was vanquished, and the Blackwood began to return to its natural state. The forest's twisted trees straightened, and the darkness that had once filled the air began to dissipate. Aidan and his companions emerged from the Blackwood, their bodies bruised and their spirits weary. They had succeeded in their quest, but at a great cost. Lyra's injuries were too severe, and she did not survive the journey back. The loss of their friend was a heavy blow, but the knowledge that they had ended the curse brought them a measure of solace. Aidan had changed profoundly during the quest. He had faced his deepest fears, made great sacrifices, and learned the true meaning of selflessness. He returned to Elderglen a different man, one who had come to understand the complexity of the Blood Lady's curse and the pain that had driven her. He had learned that the curse was not just a punishment, it was also a plea for help, a cry for release from the endless cycle of vengeance. By breaking the Bloodstone, Aidan had freed the Blood Lady from her torment, and in doing so, he had found his own path to redemption. With the curse broken, the village of Elderglen began to heal. The tales of the Blood Lady became stories of old, shared by the villagers as a reminder of the power of courage and compassion. The village's once dark past was replaced with hope for the future. Aidan's story became a legend in its own right. He was remembered as a hero who faced the darkness and emerged victorious, not just over the Blood Lady's curse, but also over his own fears and doubts. His name was honored in Elderglen, and his tale was passed down through generations as a symbol of bravery and sacrifice. The Blood Lady's curse became a cautionary tale, a reminder of the consequences of unchecked vengeance and the power of redemption. Elderglen flourished in the years that followed, and the land of Seloria began to heal from the wounds of the past. Although the curse was broken, the world of Seloria remained full of mysteries and challenges. Aidan's journey had opened new horizons, and there were still many secrets left to uncover. The land was vast, and the adventures of those who sought to explore it were only just beginning. Aidan's story was not the end but a new beginning, a reminder that every end is also a new start, and that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope for a brighter future. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe to the channel to always stay with us. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. And remember your history. Who knows what might be a legend and what not?